Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, better known as Great Millstone, who rule well, and peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. This is your brother Montezabath, back again with another impromptu video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And just a quick disclaimer before I get into the lesson. I want to say Salakia for ahead of time for the background noise as I'm currently up at my job site. So I'm just shooting this lesson real quick. All right, because what I wanted to do was, as you can see here on the screen, this was a video that I recently posted about a day or two ago dealing with the so-called Mexicans and Native Americans, all right, being indeed Israelites. And this video is actually going viral at the moment. This is just a brief screenshot, and I've been getting a lot of comments of a lot of disagreements that a lot of individuals are having, saying that the so-called Mexicans, Latinos today, all right, you know, your Chicanos, wherever you want to say, that they are not the people, all right. And if any of you saw this lesson that I did prior to now doing this current lesson that I'm in now, I mentioned in this video that there was a Latino guy who was from East LA, gang member, that actually had gotten interviewed, and he was going into the history. And so what I've done is I've actually found the video. All right. And I just wanted to do a quick lesson to bring out more edification, to prove and show you through the spirit that, all right, that, you know, the so-called Mexicans are indeed our brethren. All right. They're from the tribe of Issachar. OK, now what I want to do is I'm going to play the video. All right, that I have lined up here. And we're going to get some, you know, a couple of precepts, going to some historical history, and be done with it. So I don't want this to be too long. I just want to jump straight to the point. And Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, is edifying. Make sure my volume is up. Yep.
The indigenous language of was it the Aztecs or the Mayans?
Both of them.
Both of them. You said it was connected to an old Hebrew.
Ancient Paleo-Hebrew.
So does that mean that that language that was indigenous to what Mexico and Central America is today was a Semitic language?
Yeah. So what the schools teach you is an indoctrination. You get inducted into this indoctrination of what they want to call you, or what they tell you that you are. So, for instance, you know, our people get called Hispanic, right? So Hispanic, not knowing what that term means, you know, we call each other Hispanics, but that was under the Spaniard captivity. When the Spaniards came in 1492 and, you know, raped, robbed, and pillaged, you know, the people of Mexico, how they knew you were under that captivity was by calling you an Hispanic, how you belonged to a family of a Spaniard that took you worked on their plantation, you were given their last name, like my last name, Ayala. That comes from whatever captivity my family got taken into, and maybe we have to work on fields, whether it was picking, you know, tobacco or whatever that family had us doing. That's what we did. Now Latino is different. Latino's under the Grecian captivity. That's if you were Latino, or how they differentiated the both of them is Latino actually meant that your bloodline dated back to a Grecian or a Greek, and people that are from down south, Guatemala, El Salvador, you know, just South America, they're not Latino. Their dads aren't Greek. You know, we're still of this brown race. You know, like they call, you know, black people or African Americans that are here now Africans, and they're not from Africa. They actually just got taken into captivity in Africa while fleeing Israel.
That's right. And I want to stop right there and get a precept, because everything that he said, okay, remember, we were sold to the Grecians. This Joel chapter 3, and straight to the point, verse 6, dealing with the so-called Hamites. All right, your so-called, sorry, not so-called Hamites, but so-called Africans, which are indeed your Hamites today. And also throw Ishmael in there, because you had something that was called the Arab Sub-Saharan slave trade, which you can look that up. But this is the book of Joel chapter 3, and verse 6. And to back up what he said, it says here, the children also of Judah, which represents the southern kingdom, and the children of Jerusalem, which represents the northern kingdom, which is the kingdom that the tribe of Issachar comes out of, have ye sold unto the Grecians. Okay, which the word Grecian just simply means Greek, that ye might remove them far from their border. And that's what happened. So we both got sold, all right, to the Grecians. And who are your modern day Grecians today? Let's get the precept in the book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, thus said the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remember not the brotherly covenant. All right. Esau, Edom is symbolic towards the Grecians, because when you go into the history of the Maccabees, all right, which is one of the reasons why they don't consider the book of Maccabees to be canon, all right, with the rest of the 66 books in the King James Bible, which it is canon, because under the 1611 edition, the Maccabees was in the Bible along with the other 13 books. But nevertheless, when you go into the history of the Maccabees, it gives you the history that those Grecians, all right, were actual Edomites. So when it says in Joel that, let's go back there, okay, when you read up, all right, verse 4, yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre? Okay, Tyrus, going back to Amos, the 1st chapter, and Zidon and all the coast of Palestine, will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? All right. And this is where, as he said, the school system, they don't teach you the truth. They'll teach you what they want to put out there. Now, in the school system, they'll teach you that Africans sold Africans into the slave trade, which is bullshit. That don't make any fucking sense. OK, Africans didn't sell other Africans. Africans, so-called Africans, that is Salakia, which are your Hamitic tribes. Once again, they sold children of Israel into slavery. OK, that is the real history. And once again, read verse 6 again. The children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. All right. Today, the so-called white man. OK, who is Esau, Edom, beginning with the top banking elite families on down, that ye might remove them far from their border. And what was our border? Jerusalem. That's why it tells you in Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, in verse 33, which says, thus said Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel, northern kingdom, and the children of Judah, southern kingdom, were oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So when the conquistadors came over, all right, during the time Christopher Columbus, all right, and then at 1619, when they took the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, okay, you so-called Negroes like you Haitians and West Indies, right, from west coast of Africa, we ended up joining our brethren, the northern kingdom that was already over in the U.S. OK, and this is when this prophecy was fulfilled, because when they brought the southern kingdom over, OK, we were all oppressed together. So everything that he's saying is aligning up with scripture. Right. But see, our people, OK, like the scripture says in Hosea, let's grab that, Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou should be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I would also forget thy children. And when I did this lesson, you know, a day or two ago, I had a lot of people coming up on a comment board trying to argue with me with the fact that so-called Mexicans have no traces going back to the 12 tribes of Israel. Right. So let's get back to the video.
Africans are Hamites. They're from the tribe of Ham.
Salaki, let me take that back a little bit.
You know, just South America, they're not Latino. Their dads aren't Greek. You know, we're still of this brown race. You know, like they call, you know, black people or African Americans that are here now Africans, and they're not from Africa. They actually just got taken into captivity in Africa while fleeing Israel. Africans are Hamites. They're from the tribe of Ham. So they're just a different people, and that's why people in Africa don't accept the blacks that are here, the so-called blacks that are here in America, because they say those aren't our people, you know. And history, they won't teach you. In my era, they taught us a little bit of Aztecs and Mayas and Incas, just a little bit, but they never tell you how our people got here. They'll never tell you. We came from somewhere. They'll never tell you, how we read the stars. We used a thing called cenotes, which were these ponds, reflection ponds, to read the stars. While Columbus was looking up at the stars, trying to read them, trying to find these holy people that had a blessed land that was promised to them, full of riches and rich soil and all this and that, he was looking up at the stars, and he didn't know how to use geometry using the reflection ponds, and that's how we got here. Our real name is not Aztec, it's Issachar. That's our real name. They gave us the name Aztec because it means people of time, because we kept time in numbers.
That's right. And the scripture that he's referring to, let's get First Chronicles, I believe the 12th chapter and the 32nd verse. And it says, and of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. You see? And I have a PDF file here just going into the history. All right. Right here, it says Issachar, the father of the Issacharites, all right, so-called Mexican Indians, was blessed with the blessing of husbandry and farming, understanding of the times and seasons for the cause of planting and harvesting the fruits of the earth. All right, husbandry, soil, country, earth, ground, land, the ground itself, cultivated land, tending the ground. Then it gives you the precept, which we read. You see? And, going into the Aztec and the Mayan calendar, it says this calendar was also called the sunstone, mostly used to predict things that are easily predictable. All right. And such solar eclipses. But some things the Mayans couldn't predict seem impossible without today's modern technology, like predicting rain. It says the calendar was so precise and so exact, they could predict rain. The calendar was used in religion and rituals as well. It says the essentials of the Mayan calendar are based upon a system of mathematics, astronomy, and other sciences, which was used at least around the 5th century BCE. It is believed that there were supernatural influences associated with its configurations. Divinations could be made from their priests associated with certain configurations. You see? And then it gives you, a little bit more on that, which if the spirit permits me, because I don't have that much time, I'll do another separate lesson going into this more. But eventually, what you have to understand overall is, because he made a point in the video by saying, what they don't tell you in the history is how, the so-called Native Americans, all right, the Aztec, the Mayans and stuff, and the rest of the 10 tribes, how they came over to the Americas. And when you get the Apocrypha, it actually tells you that history. Let's get Second Esdras, the 13th chapter, real quick. Okay, which I brought out in that previous lesson that I did. And I'm going to start at verse 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, who Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. All right. And you can get this history in the book of 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. Right. Because when you understand the history, when they came over to the Americas, all right, which the at that time it was known as Arsareth, as you can see here in this slide right here, they didn't actually keep the law, statutes, commandments, because they ended up worshiping other gods. They ended up doing human sacrifice. OK, which let's read a little bit of it here. At the top, it says the Aztecs and the Mayans also began to serve other numerous gods, goddesses, and other deities. And that goes back to the curses, which we'll grab after this. It says the most high power of Israel, which his name is Yahweh, was against his people serving other gods, and only are Salakia, and only a few of the many deities that were worshipped. The ancient Mexican Indians also practiced human sacrifice as part of their religion, and whenever something important happened, such as going to war, building a temple, or whatever, they always provided a sacrifice to the gods. And other ways people were sacrificed was through throwing victims off cliffs, beating, drowning, mutilation, and arrow sacrifices. It says humans and animals were sacrificed, and human sacrifice was a forbidden and an abominable sin that the Israelites, so-called Mexicans today, worked against the most high power of Israel, and they have their higher, but we know the real name is Yahweh, all right? Take the meat, spit out the bone. So going back, dealing with the curses, when you go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, all right, and the 64th verse, okay, it says, and Yahweh, dealing with the curses of all 12 tribes, shall scatter thee among all the people. And that happened to us. And from the one end of the earth even unto the other. So how do we get to the Americas? You see, this is how we got to the Americas, because we were scattered. We was going to be, that was part of the curses. It says, and there, meaning wherever we were scattered, thou shalt serve other gods. And that's exactly not only, what the Mayans and Aztecs did, but all of the 12 tribes, including Judah, which is Yahweh, beginning with the so-called Negroes today. It says, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay, worshiping different idols. That's why when you go down, like when you look at the Northern Kingdom today, they showed you that in that Disney movie, Coco, right? The Issacharite tribes and stuff, Zebulon. Okay, they're very heavy into that, witchcraft, Santeria, all right, dealing with the Simeon, okay, which is the so-called Dominicans today, all right, practicing Santeria, all right. You also have the Haitians practicing voodoo. So, hey, the Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua made, he made promise on his word, and that's exactly what happened to the nations, all right, dealing with the 12 tribes. Okay, that's exactly what happened to us. So, going back to the Apocrypha, we left off at verse 42. It says that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. All right. So, during that period of time, all right, they got their boats and stuff that they made, and they took it upon themselves to leave away from the Assyrian captivity. All right. And to go into another land where never mankind dwelt. And that land, none other, was speaking of America, because when you check the records, especially in the Jewish Encyclopedia, they tell you that the name Arsareth, okay, which we're going to read here in a sec, through the memoirs and records of Christopher Columbus, whose real name is Cristobal Colon, he identified that land, America, as being Arsareth. How else would he have known to go there? Because they even showed you that in a movie called The Conquest of 1492. It's a Hollywood movie. Go and look it up. And there's a particular scene in there where Christopher Columbus is being asked about this so-called New World. And he said it is through superstition belief by him reading certain books, and mainly the book of Esdras. That's what inspired him to go out westward to find these 10 tribes. All right. Once again, look up the movie 1492. But moving on, it says, verse 44, for the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth, which the word Arsareth just means another land. And that another land is referring to none other than America, which is Babylon the Great today. So that's how the so-called Native Americans and the, the so-called Mexicans got over to the U.S., man. All right. This is our history, and the scriptures, all right, is giving you the account, because the scriptures is not only a law and testament and our heritage, but it's also a source of history. And this is why people get upset, because they don't know how to take secular history and line it up with the actual prophecies of the scriptures. That's why you got a lot of Israelites that don't believe in the 12 tribe chart. You see, because it's this same group of people during the 1960s called the Chicano movement that was with the so-called Black Panthers, right? Chicano movement of the 1960s. It says the Mexican American civil rights movement, one of the least studied social movements of the 1960s. I wonder why it was one of the least studies, because they don't want you to know the truth. It says it encompassed a broad cross section of issues from restoration and land grants to farm workers' rights to enhance education to voting and political rights. All right. And you can check out that video, man. And this goes back to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, the Valley of the Dry Bones awakening. All right. Because during this time, we were entering into, let's get the precept, Revelation, the 11th chapter. All right. Real quick. And then we're going to close out. Revelation 11 and 11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, which represents 3.5 years. So 1 day to the Heavenly Father is 1,000 years to us. So 3 days and a half represents really 350 years. OK, and that's during the time from 1619 when we was taken over into captivity, transatlantic slave trade, up until around this time, 1960s, 1970s, when the truth came on the scene. All right. Started in New York. All right. By a man named Abba Bivens. You had the School of the Seven, I'll just say. OK, in New York. That's how this truth came on the scene. And so this is prophecy being fulfilled. After 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, meaning this is how we got that breath put back into us, going back to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And this is the reason why all of these nations are scared, because we are waking up to who we really are. They thought that we'll never find out. You see, they thought that they had us, man. But see, all of the 12 tribes are awakening now to who they really are. But nevertheless, all right, just to get back to the point. So what ended up happening was, all right, when you go to the next slide, from, all of the sinful acts, that the Northern Kingdom committed, all right, the Lord brought over. OK, he brought over the conquistadors and took them down. This was the judgment, because even when you go back to Deuteronomy, OK, the 28th chapter dealing with the curses. All right, let's get Deuteronomy 28 and verse. Yep. I'm going to start at verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that happened. And here's the point. Verse 49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And that was Esau, Edom, because when he took us down, all right, he pretty much, murdered our elderly, took our women, ravished them, all right, took our babies, killed them, all right, did all sorts of wicked acts, man, which you devils are not going to get away with it, because your time is coming, So to end it off on there, because I gotta get ready to wrap this up, let's get Second Esdras chapter 6 and verse 28. All right. It says, as for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome in the truth. Because this is the reason why I'm doing this video. It's all about the truth, man. Which have been so long without fruit shall be declared. And we're declaring that the so-called Mexicans today, all right, whose seed line goes back, all right, to the nation of Israel, because we understand, heathens have mingled into the nation of Israel. So yes, Esau, Edom has slept with Issacharite women. All right. So we understand that, you can't, because see, it's not a skin color thing. All right. That's why you have to judge through the spirit. But see, we're in a time where the truth is being brought forth. which have been so long without fruit, and now it's finally being declared, man. So, hopefully, this was edifying. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the link of this video in the description box so you brothers can watch the full video, and also you sincere Akwath sisters learning in the truth. So with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, and double honors once again to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught us this 144% truth. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.